don't hit back.
Bolo.
Go!
Namaste. I'm Shuny from Nepal, the land of Himalayas and Mount Everest. Today I have a special guest, one and only, legendary Bob Wall, whose introduction is no need. And welcome to B-Buzz TV show, Master Bob Wall.
Thank you. Thank you.
And today I'm here, and this is my honor to be over here and sitting like this. I always dreamt about this, and today the dream come true. I feel like that. And
Well, it's my honor to have you here.
thank you very much. And when I was growing up as a boy in Nepal, I had the opportunity to watch Enter the Dragon. You played with Bruce Lee. That movie, when I was watching, you broke the boards, you broke bricks, you break bones. You are like a master of disaster. I found that kind of character you have. In real life, are you real like that?
My wife says occasionally, but no. I had the greatest mother in the world, the worst father, and so I left home at 13. But, so I had anger issues for a number of years. I left home at 13, but by the time I was 25, I was worth $2 million. And I started just washing cars and stuff, but I got away from my father. But I hated him, and I got married at 29, and on my 30th birthday, I was shaving, and I said, wow, hate is not the answer. It's not hurting him, it's hurting me.
Exactly.
He's the one that's sick, he's an alcoholic. And after a while, when you're dealing with druggies, whether it's alcohol or cocaine or whatever, you're not talking to the human anymore, you're talking to the drugs. So I'm very anti-drug. But when I was shaving, I was 30, I said, oh, wow, I should be thanking my father. Now, he was 39 then, and he died at 89.
Oh,
I never
sorry.
spoke to him again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't forgive him. I'm not that kind of Christian. I'm a Old Testament type. But everybody in the world that has something bad happen to them, whatever it is, if they overcome it,
Mm-hmm.
that's real character. It's like a real black belt. When a person makes it from white belt to black belt, they're 1 in 1,000. So that always says something about that person, much less if you go in to be a grandmaster like you. But, so I started forgiving him, but not only that, thanking him. Because in my heart, I couldn't forgive him. Still haven't. Don't want to. But he's dead. And when he died, it was like, it was like nothing.
It's not anybody in the world.
But the key is when you have a problem, thank the problem. And that's what I did. I thanked my dad the rest of my life. I said, wow, I wouldn't be world professional champion. I've taught 3 presidents, Ford, Reagan, and Bush, in and out of the White House.
Okay.
I taught Elvis, Jack Palance, Brian Keith, Paul Newman, her son, Steve McQueen, Freddie Prinze, and on. So would I have achieved that without the rage that my father gave me by stabbing me with hay hooks, screwdrivers?
Wow.
That was a hay hook.
So your dad did it to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then put your forefinger right here. That was a hammer in the face when I was 12.
What kind of father was that?
He was an alcoholic. He was a sick man. But I left home at 13 because I was going to kill him. And then luckily God spoke to me. I loaded the gun. I had it. We were here at the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And God said, don't do it. There's a better way. And luckily I listened. So I got on my bike and rode 168 miles and moved in with an uncle and started, he had a used car lot, started washing cars for him. Pretty soon I became a mechanic. Pretty soon I bought different cars and I won degas, C-gas, and then I bought a Corvette. And then I set the world's record with my 1957 fuel-injected Corvette. And I became the most famous Corvette tuner. So people hired me, paid me lots of money. And so I had no rent to pay.
Where was that? It was in LA?
This is in San Jose, where I was born.
Oh, you were born? Okay.
I was born in San Jose, and then during the war, there was rationing. So my father bought a ranch in Turlock, which is 16 miles from Modesto. So if you were going to give the earth an intimate, you'd insert it in Turlock. It's really not a good place. But anyway, so that changed my life. And then I realized I had to go to anger management to deal with my anger issues. So yeah, the rage had driven me to become world professional champion, to become Chuck Norris's partner. But then I saw how gentle he was. And his father was an alcoholic. But the difference was his father never touched Carlos, Chuck Norris, his real name Carlos, or his two younger brothers, or his mother. Mine beat the crap out of my 4 sisters and my brother and me. But I was the oldest, so he always beat on me first. But, so I started wrestling. And I got beat up the first year, and then I got beat up a little less the second year, and then the third year I went undefeated. And I came back to see my mom one day, and he had a construction office. And just as I arrived, he punched her in the mouth. And I saw her tooth fly out of her mouth.
Your brother?
No, my mother was hit by my father in an alcoholic rage, and I had it. So that time, I'm not going to stop, I'm going to kill her. So I didn't know punching or kicking in those days, but I was a wrestler. So he was 106, 190. I was 5'7", 130. I picked him up and body slammed him. I picked him up and slammed him into bricks. I slammed him into everything. In 2 minutes, he was unconscious. But I kept slamming him around for the next 10 minutes. And finally, my uncle, who was 6'4" and 260 pounds, he was an old Texas guy, and he grabbed me by the belt and said, "Bobby, I think you might have killed that man." He said, "You go clean up. No, that's blood on you. It's all his. I'm going to take him to the hospital." And so he did, and he lived. But he never touched anybody in the family again.
After that.
And then he would come watch me fight. And I was pretty vicious. I would break ribs. I mean, I beat up a lot of people in my life. And but then I went to anger management because I realized that violence is not the answer. Hate is not the answer. Love is the answer.
Exactly, exactly.
Gandhi and Martin Luther King, for example, I really admire them because they didn't take the violent approach. And violence just begets more violence. Exactly. And if you're violent in your family, to your wife, to your children, some of them, if not all of them, are going to be violent.
Exactly.
So I made sure it was never going to hit my wife. We dated 4 years, we married 52 years. I had the love of my life. Never hit my kids, spanked them with a ping pong paddle. But we had no violence. And we didn't allow hitting of each other than sparring, playing. But at any rate, so my blessing is that I allowed my rage to take me to unbelievable heights. I'm the highest paid martial arts teacher in the history of Earth.
Wow.
Back in the 60s and 70s, I was getting $250 a lesson. And a lesson wasn't an hour. A lesson is what I said. If I got you doing push-ups and sit-ups and you can't take it, half an hour, we're done. If you could take it, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I charged per lesson. But I got the greatest of the greatest because I didn't teach point karate. I taught full contact.
Full contact. Can you tell me about your martial art background in between? I know you have done a lot of styling. I have respect for every style. Yeah. I want to know from you.
As I say, I graduated from a high school in San Jose called James Lick. And when I started wrestling my freshman year, I was 5 feet tall and 93 pounds. They didn't have any weight but 110 pounds. So I got my butt kicked. And I didn't like it because most of my life I had my butt kicked. And so back when I was 13, before I left home, there was a kid named Richard Brindero, and he was 260 pounds in the 7th grade. He was a near idiot, but he was a big guy, and so he beat me up and several times. But that particular time, I made a mistake. I rode my bike 18 miles each way in the country to get to school.
Wow,
that's a long walk.
That was a long walk.
He took my bike, he beat me up, and then he took my bike and he put it over a drinking fountain like that, and he ripped out all the spokes. He took a switchblade and just slashed the tires in the seat, and he just wiped my bike out.
Wow.
So I cried, and as I always did when I got beat up, and then I went nuts. And I am super strong. I'm a farm boy. I was strong then, but I didn't know it. And I didn't have a good father to give me guidance, as you've done, you know, for your family. So he went in the bathroom, and I snapped. That's the day I became a psycho. I grabbed a brick, and when he walked out, BAM! I popped an eye out, I broke both of his cheekbones and knocked out 7 teeth. I broke his jaw. He was in the hospital for months. But then I took the bloody brick around everybody in school and I said, if you ever hurt me or beat me again, I'm going to kill you. I'll take a bat, a rock, a tree, a gun, a club, a knife. I'll find a way. I'll get on a roof with a rock in my lap and jump on and crush your skull. So I scared everybody. So then they went, oh, this guy may be little, but he's crazy. Yeah. So then everybody left me alone for about 6 months and then got into the event with my father and I decided to leave. So I rode 168 miles on my $7 bike, and my new one. And there were no street lights in 1952. Okay, so I'm driving in the dark.
That was different.
And I'm scared shitless. You know, I'm 5 feet tall, 93 pounds in the era of 98-pound weaklings. So anyway, I got to San Jose, told my uncle I wanted to go to high school and I wanted to work with him. He gave me a job washing cars, and I became a mechanic, and then I started racing cars. But I started wrestling because now nobody was afraid of me. Who was afraid of that little skinny weasel over there? You know? So I started wrestling, and of course I got my butt kicked. And there was nobody as small as me on the wrestling team. But I started eating protein, lifting weights, and all that stuff. And then the second year I got beat up less. And then the third year I went undefeated.
How old you were when you started wrestling?
Started wrestling when I was 14.
14 years old. It's like a teenager.
So people don't realize it.
Okay.
Wrestling, boxing, it's all martial arts.
Exactly.
People just don't realize it. It's a warlike art.
Now MMA, there is like a mix, like a Muay Thai, wrestling,
That's just the development.
Development.
Right.
It's a progression.
But as you know how hard you are to train to be the great martial artist that you are. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't happen by a snap of your finger. You don't get to be a black belt like your gorgeous daughter if you don't train. You've got to put in the time, the work. And sometimes you're at night going, oh, this hurts. You know, you get, and when you start sparring, you get hit. And you need to, because otherwise, in the street, if somebody hits you and you just start crying, hoo, hoo, hoo. But if you've been hit before, it's a big deal. now it's your turn.
Yep.
But at any rate, so I went undefeated, and 2 years in a row, and I got a scholarship to San Jose State. And I go there, and it's a hotbed of judo. I didn't know it.
So you got a scholarship from wrestling?
Yeah, I got from wrestling. I got the scholarship to San Jose State.
Okay.
And so I go there, and Ben Campbell and everybody great in martial arts was there. And so, you know, I'm a wise ass. Now I'm 5'7", 130 pounds. I think I'm a monster. You know, I've gone 2 years undefeated, so my ego is just, I wouldn't have liked me then. You wouldn't have either.
Oh, yeah.
I was a wise ass. But like all wise asses. So I had this Japanese kid who was a black belt in judo, but I didn't know it. I didn't know what judo was. I thought it was Jewish do. You know, what do I know?
Okay.
But first week I beat him up because it's ground fighting. Well, high school wrestling even today, they don't do stand-up. It's all ground fighting. But the second week, we started my flying lessons. And I thought he was going to kill me. I mean, my shoes were scraping the ceiling. He was throwing me around. And so he beat the heck out of me. And so the next week, ground fighting, I beat him up. The next week, stand-up fighting. And so after about 5 weeks, we're walking around like, oh, he could barely move. But I wouldn't be this straining, and he wouldn't either. So he came up to me and he says, you better ground fight. I better stand up. I teach you stand-up, you don't hurt me. You teach me ground fighting, I don't hurt you. Okay, good. Yay!
So you are exchanging the
We exchanged lessons.
Okay.
So I made black belt there in 1957. And then I watched Gene LaBelle win the Nationals 54-55. And he was 165 pounds. And I said, well, I've gone from 93 pounds to 130 pounds. I can gain another 35 pounds. So I did. So when I got to 165, eating a lot of protein that I hated, now you got good protein, but I wasn't smart enough to put fruit in it. You know, and I was just, Leo. But anyway, I got to 165 pounds, I moved to LA, and I walk in and Gene LaBelle's 265, and I go, what happened? I'll never get to 265 pounds. Do what I want to do. He says, kid, I got 2 gears, kind to kill. The rest are BS. And he doesn't smoke, drink, or swear, but he does choke out Steven Seagulls, and he's never been defeated, and you pin a bear. I'm going to show you a picture for your dad. Okay. It's in color. The bear shredded it, but he's like me. You better kill me, because I won't stop. I'm going to get you, one way or the other. And that's the way he is. So anyway, I became his black belt. And then he said, Bob, go train in everything. Everybody has something good. Train in everything. And so now I was a grappler wrestler, but I wasn't really a puncher kicker. Okay. So now I studied Thai boxing for several years, and then I studied American boxing. Okay. And then I became a black belt in Shorn Roo. And I became Joe Lewis's first black belt, and he was the first super heavyweight world champ. Okay. And he created kickboxing in America. in 1969, he knocked out a guy named Greg Baines.
Joe Louis is still alive? Or
No, he died.
He died.
He died about 3 years ago.
Okay.
But he was my first partner. And so I opened his school. He had no money. So I bought him a car, moved him in my apartment, and I got a 2-bedroom, and so he had his own bedroom, and then I gave him half of the school.
Okay.
Well, by then I had money, you know. So he didn't have any money. But I wanted to train with him.
Okay.
So in 7 months, I took third in the world championships in 1965.
Wow.
He won, of course. Next year I went back and I won it, my division.
Okay.
I was much smaller, he was much bigger. So I won. In those days they only had 2 divisions, lightweight and heavyweight.
Okay.
And then pretty soon they had light, middle, and heavy. So I always competed in the early days at lightweight, and later middleweight. But if Chuck Norris was in middleweight, I never wanted to fight my instructor. And Chuck Norris really was my finishing school.
Okay.
Joe Louis taught me to be tough. He was brutal. We did 1,000 kicks a day, you know, and round kicks, everything.
So you started to kick American kickboxing with Joe Louis?
We started American kickboxing, yes.
And what Chuck Norris played a big role in your life?
What?
Chuck Norris?
Chuck Norris. Well, I had given Joe half of the school in '64, but then I would enroll 20 students, he'd break 20 noses. And I'd say, Joe, they don't come here to get their nose broken, they come here to keep from getting their nose broken. But he wouldn't stop. And I'd spar him 3 or 4 times. He was like a sexaholic or a fightaholic, you know.
Okay.
But I said, you can't beat on these white belts. I mean, they don't know anything. But anyway, after about a year and a half, I said, Joe, I'm going to give you the other half of the school. I got to go. I don't want people. I never been a person to beat up a student. Yeah, I'll make them a little rough, you know. Even girls, I would slap them. I wanted to understand in a rape situation or a violent situation. Guy's not going to walk up and say, "Oh, sweetheart, would you come over here and lay down and take your clothes?" That's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So if you haven't been slapped or punched or hurt it a little bit, you're not used to it, then you're in shock. So I always roughed my girls up, but I didn't smash them in the face. So anyway, so I told Joe I'm going to give you the whole school. And he said, "Oh no, without you I don't want to be here." And I've always been a businessman. Okay. And so I went to Chuck Norris and I said, you know, I'd like to sell you the school. And he said, "No, I want you. I'll buy Joe's half," which I had given him. Okay. So Joe got the money, I got nothing from his half. But Chuck was the best teacher, and he's very kind. He's very Christian. He's just a wonderful man. And we were perfect partners because, you know, a lot of people get ruined with ego. Shuny. And Chuck was the better karate guy. We weren't selling street fighting. He's never been a street fighter. I've been in a million. We weren't selling grappling. So my skill set didn't sell. He taught Tom Sado. That's what we sold. Okay. He was the world champion. He was better than me. And so we said, okay, you're the boss on the mat. I'm the boss off the mat. I'm the better businessman. So we were egoless. Okay. And because of being egoless, you also have to have respect.
Exactly.
Respect for your kids, but they need to respect you back.
Exactly.
And not by force, but by your actions. So Chuck and I were perfect partners. So we wound up building the largest chain of schools. And I was the first one to manualize. I created a manual in 1965, and I gave it to June Ree. I gave it to Joe Louis when he left. He went to the Tracy's. I gave it to them. So I've always been a giver. You know, I will, and it's just like with you. When somebody asks me, I do it if it's humanly possible. I want to give, and it's better to give than receive. But when you give, it always comes back to you tenfold. It really does. So anyway, Chuck and I were just fabulous partners. We built a great chain. We have the greatest black belts in the world. Our black belts never lost a team competition. Okay. And we got so many of them so good, pretty soon we'd win first, second, third, and fourth. Okay. So your seniority, they were never going to beat Chuck and I. So our team always won. And even some of our students were better than us, but they were afraid of us. They didn't know. They were actually better. So then the second team would always be based on seniority, based on their rank. And then the third team and the fourth team. But we just created some phenomenal black belts. I mean, amazing. And a kid named Bobby Burbage. There were so many of them. John Natividad. Oh my gosh, Victor Guerrera. We had so many fabulous black belts. And we were the first ones in the world that I know of. We specialized, we didn't even try to get guys. We only specialized in teaching women and children. Okay. Well, today, that's 2/3, 3/4 of the business. In those days, nobody wanted a girl, because the girls can't fight.
Okay.
You'll find
It's
out.
a different time, you know.
But it was a different time. But we never tried to get guys. We specialized and we started teaching Playboy buddies. I can show you a picture. And everything to bring in women. Well, it's amazing. When you have all these women, you got all the men you want. You don't have to advertise. They just come flooding in.
It's a business automatically growth, right?
Yeah. And a lot of these women were single or divorced.
Okay.
And so they had latchkey kids. So they couldn't afford the lesson. So we said, okay, we don't believe in charity. But if you clean the school for 2 hours, which is what I had to do coming up, then you can train for 2 hours. If you clean the school 4 hours, you can train for 4 hours. You're earning it. We're not giving it to you.
Exactly.
So we came
exactly.
under the teach a person how to fish, they eat fish the rest of their life. Just like turning her into a black belt.
Exactly.
That's the greatest gift. And I know she knows it, but she'll know it even more in later life. And so, because we specialize in women and children, nobody did. You'd call it, and even black people, they were really brutal, black and brown people, they'd call and they'd say, no, we're out of judo, no, we're out of karate. You're out? But my mom, when I was 7, I had the greatest mother in the world. Worst father, but best mother. But my mom knocked her last guy out on her 70th birthday.
Okay.
So she was tough. I trained her a couple of years.
Wow.
Oh, she could go. She was an old farm girl.
Oh, yeah.
But I teach you how to hit. You know how to hit. So anyway, my mom set me down when I was 7 years old. And every parent, in my opinion, should do this to their children. I did it to my children. She said, Bobby, I'm 7 now. She says, I want you to hate everybody. I went, Mommy, I don't want to hate everybody. Nope. You have to hate everybody that chose their parents. I said, well, that's not possible.
Wow.
She said, that's right, son. Don't ever forget it. Nobody ever born chose their parents. Therefore, if you're from Nepal, or if you're black or brown or yellow or red or green or orange or white or purple, never judge anybody by their color.
Exactly.
And don't even judge them by what they say, because we all say stupid things sometimes. Okay? I mean, it's just, you know, somebody's dog dies and you say, oh, doggone. You'll be, oh, why did they say that? You know. So, but anyway, she said, judge people only by what they do. Actions speak louder than words.
Yep.
So if they do evil, then crush them or get away from them. If they do good, then that's what you judge them on. So nobody ever born chose their parents. Therefore, what is prejudice? Ignorance taught. You know, and there are a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, brown people, black people, red people. Chuck Norris is half Indian. Pat Burleson, 3/4 Indian. They got harassed a lot. Bruce Lee, he's Eurasian, part German.
Part German, I heard about that.
Yeah, his mother was a quarter German. No, she was a third German.
Okay.
At any rate, so he got harassed. That's why he got into Kung Fu at 13. So I don't like prejudice. And it's prejudge. When you prejudge a person,
Exactly.
you're not looking at, you haven't seen what they've done. So what are you judging? On their color? Well, are you stupid?
Stupid, yeah.
It's ignorance.
Yeah.
And ignorance is taught. So I always judge people by what they do. And then if you get fortunate, we live in the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, America. Because what's an American? It's Nepal, it's China, Japan.
It's a melting pot, you know.
We're everything.
Yep.
We've got people in this country that have come from all over the world.
Exactly.
So what is an American? It's everybody.
Everybody.
So why would you be prejudiced against a fellow American? So that's the way Chuck Norris and I got into ourselves. But in our martial arts training, we were a lot more we wanted you to be really good, but we wouldn't promote you to black belt unless you were a good person. If you were a bully, fail.
So how many years you had to train that time to become a black belt in particular style of arts?
Well, with us, it was always 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6
Legitimate.
Legitimate.
If you're really training with a legitimate instructor, you're not a black belt when you're 3 years. You know, and a lot of people came back from Asia, you know, and there were black belts in a year. Because they said, oh, you're getting shipped out in 2 weeks? Okay, come here next week with $200. You're a black belt. Well, that's not my kind of black belt.
Because of that reason I asked you, because this time it's becoming a business too much than to be giving the quality. They're just producing quantity. You know, there's no quality in the black belt.
Exactly.
Within a couple of years, they become black belt, and they say I'm 3rd degree, 4th degree, and this is like ridiculous to me. You know. So back then, when I was training, you know, my time also like 6 to 5 years between we got our black belt. Now only 2 years, like 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, that's the right time.
That was the right time.
It takes that time because when you make it to black belt, 1st degree,
Exactly.
now you're ready to learn.
Exactly.
Now you've got the tools. Now your learning really starts, you know.
And back then, like you know, we trained like every morning, like 3 hours, 7 days in a week to get that kind of that level of martial arts.
And I'm so proud of you for training, you know, I don't know if you have other children, but certainly you got a black belt sitting in front of me and she's gorgeous. And she needs that black belt.
Exactly.
Because there's way more nice people, but unfortunately there's always a bully, a rapist, a criminal, you know, and so you need to be able to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But Chuck and I focused on the physical. We trained hard. We trained our students hard, but we started separating women from men, and as we started to grow, and then I said, nah, most rapes are not going to be a girl raping a girl.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to be a guy. So we put them in the men's class, and
that's a practical.
You've got to live with it. This is what your reality is. This is mostly what you're going to have to defend yourself against. And so we turned out with the first women's world champion, Kim, and Kim Burbridge. Her brother Bobby became international champion. He was my white belt student, and the way I got him, most people wouldn't dare do it. I see a kid walking down, I wouldn't do it to girls, but to guys, 16, 17, I just run, grab him, put him in the choke, drag him into school and tell him I was going to do this and that to him. And then I let him go. I said, aren't you glad it was just a joke? And I'm like, that was a joke, I didn't want reality. So then I make them train, and 90%, well, I don't have any money. Well, you would have friends, you bring friends, you can train, or you clean the school. I mean, there's a way. And so this one kid, Bobby Burbridge, he said, well, I don't have any money. I said, you got a watch? Give me the watch. I'll be a down payment. and you bring me a couple students and or clean the school, take your pick. Well, he brought in 4 students. Exactly. And eventually he brought me over 40 students, including his sister, Kim, who became the first women's world champ. And I mean, just tough. And they were not wealthy people. So when you have financial depravity, you usually have more motivation to get out of it. And it's almost like a little skinny person getting beat up. You go, whoa, we're going to figure out how to top this stuff. So, but we really taught a lot of ethics. We wouldn't promote anybody to black belt if they weren't a good person, for example. And Chuck was Korean style, Tang Soo, and so our brown belt was red belt. When you were red belt and you went to test for black belt, you had to write 2 pages on what does it mean to you to be a black belt.
Exactly.
And then we tested them. We'd ask them moral questions. In this situation, da 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 da, and do, would you do that or would you do this and that kind of thing. And if we felt somebody, like we had a famous guy later, he went to become a trainer for the Fruit of Islam Warriors.
Okay.
So I'll let his name remain nameless, but he ultimately became the head guy. And we failed him for black belt, so he went off and took our first degree red belt and converted it to 4th degree black belt. He just went to a printer. And anyway, so he came to me years later, and he was now Fruit of the Islam Warriors, and they were very violent in those days. And he wanted to fight, you know, the world heavyweight champ was my partner at that time, Joe Lewis. I said, he'll kill you. When he says, I'm bigger, I'm 6'3", I'm 250, I said, I don't care, I'll kill you.
Wow.
And then he said, well, I want to fight for a title. I'm great, and I want to show the world how good I am. And I said, okay, why don't you pick on the light heavyweight world champ, because you're actually a super heavyweight. And so fight Jeff Smith. He's a turkey. You will kick his ass. Jeff Smith, a bad dude. One of June Reed's senior students. And he was world light heavyweight champ. So when Muhammad Ali fought the 3rd time, and he fought Joe Frazier. They called it the Thrilla and Manila. Well, I did the commentary.
Oh, you did the commentary?
Yeah, I did the commentary.
Wow, I didn't know, okay.
The pre-fight was Jeff Smith, light heavyweight world champ, 175 pounds, fighting the Fruit of Islam Warrior. And he put him to sleep. I said, you should thank me. I saved you from death. I gave you this little puny shrimp.
You're not walking, you know.
Oh, Jeff was a tough guy. He was a good guy.
Okay.
And anyway, yeah.
And how did you get in the show business? Can you tell us about a little bit, you know, you were a martial artist, you know, and you were a very good businessman, and suddenly we saw you on the biggest screen in Hong Kong.
Well, it's very interesting you ask, because I never wanted to be an actor. I never studied acting, although when Chuck decided he was going to act, he was so bashful. I come and told my wife, I said, oh, Chuck Norris, he'll never make it. He's so shy, he can't talk to 3 people. Shows how smart I am.
Okay.
But anyway, I took the first 10 acting lessons with him, but only for him. But I didn't think pretending I was a steering wheel or crying because my friend just left or something was my cup of tea. But anyway, I love martial arts. I love my wife. I love my children. I love Chuck Norris. And until Joe started doing coke, I loved him. But I'm just anti-drug. But anyway, Chuck Norris asked me to do parts, and so it was great. I could never stay more than a week because I had a real estate company to run. But I would go there for a week, so I always got small parts. But I wound up doing a lot of Walker's, and I did 12 of his movies, and all smarter parts for the most part. And I remember one thing. I get killed the first scene, and the next week, action, play dead. That was my worst part. But it was fun because I got to go a lot of times, and so I got my Screen Actors Guild membership, and that insurance was the best of the best. It's no longer, but it was in those days. And we had to work so many hours every year. So then Bruce asked us to go do Way of the Dragon. But he had no budget.
So before The Way of the Dragon, you had already appeared on a lot of movies here?
No, I had appeared in TV things.
TV shows, okay.
But remember, so Way of the Dragon was filmed in '72.
Okay.
And Walker, Texas Ranger didn't start until the '90s.
Oh, this is after the...
So my first real film experience was Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. And then of course when I got him in the Coliseum and all that. And then it was interesting because I really got his attention because they only advertised Chuck Norris was coming. So nobody in Hong Kong knew that I was coming. Okay. So we get through filming in the Coliseum, my fight scenes, Chuck's fight scene. We fly into Hong Kong, there's big headlines. Wang Bang Lo challenges Chuck Norris. Americans are slow and stiff and Wang Bang will beat him up. Well, Chuck is one tough Irish Indian. So he was PO'd right away. And so Bruce took us to dinner. He said, Chuck, Carlos, you beat up one of these guys and there's 2. And you beat up 2, there's 4. You beat up 4, there's 8. And they just keep coming.
Keep coming.
So just ignore them. Okay. So Carlos and I, Chuck Norris's real name is Carlos. We've traveled the world and we always get 2 rooms side by side because we move the furniture away and we make the other room our gym.
Okay.
Which in a week, you don't want to go in there. Oh, please, stuff your nose. But anyway, so we go to work out, and the press won't leave. And they're milling around and knocking on the door, and, oh, Mr. Norris, can we get a few words? And what about this challenge from Wang Bang Lo? And so I could tell he gets a little red, and he's punching harder and kicking harder. He's really, you don't want to go up and put your finger in his shoulder and say, I can kick your ass at tiddlywinks, basketball. He's a real competitor, you know. But when you talk to him about fighting, oh, no, that's a big mistake. Chuck Norris is a real tough guy. But he's gentle. Never been a street fight. He doesn't believe in violence.
I believe he was like a 7-time world champion in heavyweight his division, right?
Yeah, he was 7-time world champion, undefeated. Wow. He was amazing. He was the best point fighter, but he didn't do
Yeah, when I was in high school in Nepal, I read his, right after The Way of the Dragon.
He was phenomenal.
Okay.
But anyway, so we get through training and I realize he's really PO'd. I recognize being PO'd because I had a few issues about anger. And so I said, you know what, I'll fix this. So I go out there and I said, look, I'm Mr. Norris's partner. We were 50-50 partners in the Chuck Norris karate chain.
Okay.
I ran the business, he ran it. But in the beginning, I had to teach the black belt class and he'd teach the kids class. And then the next one I would teach the kids class and he would teach, we had to do all the teaching.
Okay.
Pretty soon we had students, green belts and red belts and then finally black belts. But in the beginning, we had to do all the teaching. So I not only did the enrollment, but Chuck would go on TV and he'd do ads and he'd do everything to promote our school. But at any rate, so I go out to the press in Hong Kong and I said, Mr. Norris, he's way better than I am.
Okay.
And so I'll fight Wang Bang Lo. And then if he can beat me, then he qualifies to fight Mr. Norris.
Okay.
And they said, oh yeah, okay. So we're going on a show called Enjoy Yourself Tonight in a week. And so I'll meet him there. Oh, by the way, I'm going to kill him. He said, what? They never heard of a death match. I said, kill him. No, I'm going to kill him. You're going to kill him on live TV? I'm going to kill him on live TV. I was a sniper. I was a cop. I've killed people before. They're bad people, but they need to meet the Lord. So
Exactly.
it's just my job just to arrange the meeting. So I arrange a lot of meetings. So I'm a different breed of cat. So anyway, the press goes nuts. You're gonna kill Wang Bang Look. Yeah, he comes on TV. Why do you want to kill him? You don't know him. I said, I want to kill him because he challenged my partner, Mr. Norris, who's undefeated world champion. That's number one. That's rude. And he's just trying to get press. But I want to kill him on live TV so nobody can say I hit him with a bat. My 3 friends held him. I drugged him. They're going to see him walk up. You want to do this fight? Yep. And then I'm going to kill him. So anyway, there's the buzz of Hong Kong. So Bruce and Chuck and I got in the car. We're going down and there's thousands of people, in the streets. We could barely get to the studio. But we got there and of course, every martial artist in Hong Kong showed up. They want to see a death match.
Wow.
Never heard of it. That was 72. And well, of course, Wang Bang doesn't show up.
Oh, he didn't saw.
Oh,
man.
I think he checked out who I was.
Okay.
And maybe he decided that I might just kill him.
Oh, okay.
And I would. I'd stick a finger in his eye and pull it out and eat it while I was whipping his ear off.
Maybe he did Google about you. Maybe.
He didn't want any part. So anyway, now the director, because it's live TV. And so he's panic stricken. So he's martial arts, any martial artist, every hand went up there. Every martial artist in Hong Kong were there except Wang Bang Lo. And so they got up and they started doing. The director goes, no. Hey, I gotta see fighting. We're gonna have a death match. So he goes to Chuck and he says, Mr. Norris, he said, could you beat somebody up? I mean, really beat him up? You know what Uki is. So I became, from partner, Uki. So he beats the little shit out of me and he's knocking the crap out of me.
So you became dummy for him?
Yeah, I got a few pictures of that to show you. But at the end, he throws a back knuckle with intentions to take my face off. And then that lifts your hand. And then he does a jump spinning back kick. Well, he kicks me so hard. And this is after 15 minutes of just beating this shit out
So
of
it
me.
was live on TV?
Live TV.
Wow.
But I mean, he's beating the shit out of me because he knows I can take it. And I let anybody punch me or kick me as hard as they want. I just say, not in the teeth, not in the nose. They'll break. Does my nose look like it's ever been broken? No. But you can hit me in the throat, kick me in the groin, hit me wherever you want. If you hit me in the teeth or the nose, I'm going to hit you back, and you're going to get an ambulance ride. So don't make a mistake. It's going to be bad for you.
Control.
So anyway, but he final kick, the back knuckle jump spinning back, and bam! And I start falling, and I realize we're on a stage, and I'm looking down at steel girders and spiders and shit. I'm going to die. I have a judo player, but how am I going to block girders? So I don't know how Chuck Norris did it. He was just insanely brilliant.
Yeah.
He reached up, leaped, after hitting this jump spinning back. He saw that I was falling through this curtain.
Wow.
He didn't see what I saw. It was brutal. I mean, it looked like 200 feet. It was probably 15. But it was all these steel girders and stuff. So we were on a stage. He grabbed me, and I was 200 pounds in. And he slams me. My body is falling. The bottom of the stage so hard that it split both of his wrists open and blood spurted out. Because I'm 200 pounds. He's 175 pounds. Bam! And he pulls me back up. As he does, my gi comes out. Now they realize I'm not wearing any padding. I don't ever wear padding in my life. I'm a warrior. You do your thing. So I have black and blue marks and red and every other damn thing. And so the camera comes in real close and the audience says, oh! Because now they realize this is no bullshit. He's getting his ass kicked, And so anyway, that satisfied all the bloodthirsty people that I hadn't got to kill somebody, which I personally would have preferred. But instead of me killing this guy live TV, I got my ass kicked by Chuck Norris. So Bruce is named Lacey Long, Little Dragon, and what all the movies are: Way of the Dragon, Way of Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, Enter Bruce Lee, Return of the Dragon, Return Bruce Lee. So anyway, but Chuck's name in Chinese is Lo Lisi.
Lo Lisi.
Lo Lisi. My name is Wu Lovett. Because they flipped.
Way of the Dragon, right?
That was Way of the Dragon. Yeah. So I was more famous than Bruce Lee for 2 days. Everywhere we went, they go, Wu Lovett, Wu Lovett. Oh, well, not hard, of course. They were afraid to do hard, but that was very funny. I said, Bruce, I'm the new man in town. Sorry, nobody knows you.
You're the hero in Hong Kong.
He laughed so hard because Bruce was like Elvis. Wherever you went, thousands of people mobbed him. He was like a superstar. And he was like Chuck Norris, very sweet, nice, friendly, kind, to the fans. He didn't ever play ego. You know, he was just a fabulous man. I love Bruce. I miss him.
But that was very interesting story you told about that. So the people enjoyed the real fight, you and Chuck, right? Live.
Well, another thing that was pretty funny, we're shooting Into the Dragon. Of course, nobody knows except Freddie Weintraub, the producer, that Bruce and I are really close friends, and we've been training partners for over 10 years. And I took him to Gene LaBelle. I introduced him to Chuck. I brought him to everybody. And all my training partners, Jim Harrison, who's a bad dude, he passed away now, but Pat Burleson, first national karate champion, all of them. So I brought him into my circle, and I only train with the best. You don't get to be you if you haven't trained with the best.
Exactly.
You have to train with people that are better than you when you're coming up, which means you're going to get your butt kicked. So I always laugh at people who say, I was born 900 no. Yeah, right. Please let me joke. I was 0 and 900 for a long time. I got my butt kicked in wrestling. I got butt kicked in judo. And then Gene LaBelle continued kicking my butt. And then Joe Louis kicked my butt. And then Chuck Norris kicked my butt. So after a while, it became a little more challenging. But I invite somebody to come try it today and see how it works out for you.
Okay.
But in the day, I don't believe you can go from a white belt to a black belt legitimately and not get your butt kicked.
That's true.
Just that simple.
Yeah.
Not that you ever got your butt kicked.
No, she got
Going as a black belt.
because even she did a lot of champions. Even some champions she won, some she defeated.
Like all those.
But it was a learning process for her. Like for her, she's my daughter. I can promote right with 30-degree black belt. Like you said, you gotta get butt kicked.
You gotta earn it.
You gotta earn it. So I asked her to wait. At least 5 years need to wait. Otherwise, she keep asking me when I'm gonna get my 30-degree black belt. No. I'm your dad, but it's not easy.
Well, you're a wise man. That's the way to train people. And more importantly, she feels good about her rank because she knows she earned it. She knows she's got it. That's what I do with my kids. No favoritism. And I even have some of my black belts come in and train them sometimes, But my youngest one, I loved it when she was 7, 8, 9, because girls can't hit, That's a general belief in those days. I said, oh, girls can't hit. Come here, darling. This is my 8-year-old. How about she hits you? Oh, no. By the time she was 14 or 15, she and her sister, they both said to me, they said, when can we stop training? I said, whenever I'm convinced any raping, you're going to do it. That's when you can stop training.
That's the time. No, exactly. You're right. As a actor, as a martial artist, you have so many experience, in Hollywood, in Hong Kong. I'm from all the way from Nepal, which is nobody. Sometimes when I tell people I'm from Nepal, they don't even know where is Nepal. And I have to tell them,
And they never heard about Everest.
Never Mount Everest, So, like people like me, what you advise me Hollywood to reach in that, to get succeed. Give me some tips, what I should do because.
Well, I said what I did. First, I'm the same as you. I love martial arts. I love what it does for people. And I love that it's taught from a respect point of view. So, my thing is just as in today's interview, when anybody asked me, Bruce Lee asked me to do a part, I did it. And I did it within his budget. And it was pretty poor. Now, when I did Game of Death, he had been gone 4 years, so I got a lot of money. I got paid more than anybody else in the movie because my wife and I said, hey, we've taken a cut and paid, but that's for friendship. But the fact is, even though I never planned to be an actor, I did a great job. I happen to have a natural talent for it. And therefore, people look at my fight scenes with Bruce and they believe it. If you believe it, it's real. And so, little by little by little, and then like I said, I did a whole bunch of Walker, Texas Rangers, and I did about a dozen of Chuck's movies. And so, you're on the set and you start seeing what people do and how they do it. And I remember one time we were in a Coliseum, and I was reading a book. And Bruce comes up to me and says, what are you doing? I said, reading a book. Why? Well, I'm not in this scene. You should be behind the camera. You should be involved. You shouldn't go. I never sat around again. Okay. I didn't know I could get close to the camera. Well, then he ordered it. He wanted me behind the camera. No, it was a miss. Oh, that was a hit. He wanted team effort. And he was great. You know, we had so much fun with him. Like I said, you know, this is why this is my favorite picture. Every scene, well, I'm gonna break something. Yeah, you little China, you can't break a thing. And so he's kicking the little, you look, does that look like a beat up person? 4, 5, 6 scenes, he was a perfectionist.
I know.
So, my advice is find somebody that you could do something for, you know, in film. And obviously you're already a filmmaker, you're already established a martial arts master. You're a good looking guy, you're a great martial artist, and you have film experience. That already makes you ahead of the crowd. And I'm sure you know the difference between a hit and a miss. You can't find a miss in any of my fights. I won't allow it. And you won't find a miss in Bruce Lee's fights. He wouldn't allow it. So you have to become a perfectionist, but you've got to get out there and hustle. And you got to talk to a lot of people. And you got to give them all the reasons to call you. You understand? And so the best, you know, of those will have a main picture and then 2 or 3 pictures of you doing something else. Swimming, skiing, riding a horse, playing tennis.
Exactly.
Open their mind up.
Exactly.
Because most of these people, in their mind, they already know what they want. Perfect example. Bruce Lee called me and said, I want you to do this part in Into the Dragon. Which, by the way, the character's name was Okada. When I got there, I said, do I look like Okada? No, I'm Irish. It's going to be a little hard to scratch. I changed my name. I created a lar. I'm Irish. So anyway.
So you got your name Wahara by yourself, all right.
I named me. I'm Irish.
That was cool.
And the Irish people just love me. Yeah, oh, Harlan. He was a bad guy, but he was a prominent bad guy.
But all over the world, Wahara is famous, you know. That was very perfect matching name. Wakanda could be a little funny name.
Well, you might have passed for Okada, but I'm not going to make it. But anyway, that's the basics of it. And then being nice to people, not being egotistical. And like for me, I didn't do my movies for the money. I did it for friendship. I had no goal to be an actor, but I happened to have a talent for it. And here's what's funny. Bruce calls me and says, go see Freddie Weintraub, he's the chairman of Warner Brothers. Now, without Freddie Weintraub, there is no Bruce Lee. Because he and I were the only ones that believed that Asian could be a leading man.
Okay.
It was always the white guy. When in the day, they didn't believe a black man could be a leading man either. You have to break those barriers. Well, they've been broken. But he forced Warner Brothers because he made a movie called Woodstock. And it saved Warner Brothers. And he said it cost $40. But it made millions. So it literally saved Warner Brothers. So then later he became chairman, and then he pushed, and then he left to do independent films. But the chairman who replaced him was his buddy, and he's Jewish, they're Jewish. But anyway, when I went in for the interview, he was chairman. So I walk in his big office, and he's a big guy. He's 6'3", 240. You know, he's a big guy, and he's Jewish. So they see the world through the Jewish lens. Just like Neapolitan might see through the Neapolitan lens, that's what you know. So anyway, I walk in and said, I'm blah blah, hey, I'm Freddie Weintraub. And he says, are you an actor? Nope. Are you taking acting? Nope. You want to be an actor? Nope. Well, thank you very much. You're just not like the part. Goodbye. Okay.
Mr. Baby.
I wasn't there hustling. So Bruce called me about an hour later. He's in Hong Kong. Freddie's in Burbank at Warner Brothers, and I'm back in Sherman Oaks. And you got the part, right? He's the star. He knows, you know. And he's broken every box office record. Wow. This is going to be a film, Into the Dragon. I said, no, Bruce. They said I was too short. Well, Bruce is 5'7", I'm 6 feet. So if I'm too short, was he a dwarf? And 5 minutes later, Freddie called. He says, oh, well, can you grow a beard? And I grow a beard. I got to shave twice a day. You know, yeah. Grow a beard, come in. Now I spend 2 days, and he just thought, he said, I'm sorry, but you're a leading man type, and this guy's got to be vicious, and you're too sweet and gentle. And they're not going to believe a good-looking guy, you know, is a tough guy. You know, you don't look tough. So we got to fix you. Bruce is determined you have to be the one. He didn't know because he's going to kick the shit out of me for 3 months. Nobody else wanted the shit kicked out of him for 3 months. So anyway, I go in and they put this and that and this and that and this and that. And so 2 days, I keep coming in with the pictures, and he goes, nope, nope, nope. So finally he called Gary Morris, who's passed away, but he was the greatest makeup artist in Warner Brothers history. So he called him in, and he looked at me, and he looked at all the pictures, and he goes, I got it. And I mean, in 10 minutes he went,
Dang,
what's not in the movie? So we had to change the script. How did I get this, right? Well, then that's when the grandfather slashes me, you know, and then I kill him. I kick him in the head, off the cliff. But anyway, so the movie's over, and of course I'm Bruce's best friend, so I'm sitting there watching the dailies every day with us. So I get to see our work, so I know where we need to improve or what was great and all that. But anyway, we get back to Warner Brothers, and Bruce calls me and he says, hey, John Saxon doesn't like his fight scenes. Could you redo them? Sure. So I took him up to Griffith Park. So the fight scenes where he's in a golf course, and the little guy says, it's the dough, Roper, I gotta break something. Those are all my black belts. I did all that.
You choreographed for that fight?
I did all the fight.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow.
And so, but that was a favor to Bruce. I didn't have to do it. I didn't get paid for it. But I went and did it for him. So it's those kinds of things when you're kind and you do nice things for people and it helps you kick their ass, you will get their attention every time. But anyway, once Freddie saw this, he said, that works. He said, keep growing that beard, you know, and keep growing your hair. Don't get a haircut. So you look at my hair, you know, it takes me 20 minutes to do it, which is why I have a hat on right now. I still got a lot of hair. So anyway, they always show cast and crew the film before it comes out. So my wife and I go over to see it, and Freddie goes to my wife and he says, you know, I didn't want your husband. He's a nice, sweet, gentle guy. And I said, how is he going to be a vicious monster? He said, I'm watching the damn film and I said, kill him, Bruce! I hate that SOB! Kill him!
Really bad.
I didn't want to hire him. So my wife looks at him and she says, well, Freddie, you're confused. Why? He says, the nice, sweet, gentle guy is the actor. The real Bob.
Real Bob.
You just got to let it out. He laughed, but that's why I was in every movie he made after that. You know?
So you got scar like this way or like this way?
No, they did straight line.
They straight line, right? Okay.
It was unpleasant makeup, let me tell you.
This is everybody, you know, when we were a little kid, you know, that guy, man, scar, you know.
I have so many people say, I hated you. You tried to hurt Bruce Lee. I hate you. You're a monster. You scared me. Particularly the kids, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. I was scared too. I said, you're a monster. I said, I didn't look like a monster to me. Oh, my kids saw the movie, they said, Daddy, we don't like you getting killed. No, Dad, don't play those parts. You were mean. You had to get killed. We didn't like it.
And who got John Saxon in the movie?
I did.
You're the one found for him?
I suggested him, and Bruce interviewed him, and I loved him. And he had 10 years of Shotokan, 11 years of Kung Fu.
Okay.
But he was very stiff. He was a sweetheart, he passed away recently. But I hired the Australian Peter Bennett, you know, that gets Bruce puts him in the boat, fighting without fighting.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
And Jim Kelly. And
fighting without fighting.
Yeah. So all the martial artists, you know, from Steve Muhammad, Jim Kelly, John Saxon, Peter Bennett, I hired them all.
Okay.
But when we got there, I got them all together because movie people tend to get egotistical. And it's like, I taught Elvis, Jack Poundspine, Keith Paul, Newman, Sonny Secret, I taught them all. And nobody plays ego with their instructor because you can kick their ass, and they know it. And now we're nice and sweet and gentle, but if you want your ass kicked, you came to the right place. We can do it. So I always try to teach my people not be egotistical, to be a nice person, and take care of the little people, because we were all little people, particularly the day in the hospital when we were born. You don't get much smaller than that. So it's just be respectful. Come back to the core of our martial arts. It's give respect, be respectful, be kind. And then if you get a bully, thank you God, manna from heaven. Now you can kick their ass and be happy about it. I enjoy beating the shit out of a bully. It's almost sexual. Yeah, feed me.
So, Master Bobwal, it was very nice talking to you. You know, thank you for sharing all those, you know, interesting, what happened, you know, in your life, you know, in your show business life, your martial art life, you know. It is a great honor talking with you like this way.
Thank you.
And hopefully, you know, I'm going to be coming back again and again to have some advice.
Yeah, I hope
Still,
you're a superstar.
it will be appreciated.
All I knew was that I knew him win.
Thank you very much.
Bored, don't sit back.
And that's exactly what happened. I got my ass kicked again.
Again with Sunny V.
Where is my bike? Hey, dayanız bir. Hey Narbu, kalk sahne.